I'm going to teach you how to sing falsetto. What is falsetto? What does it sound like? It sounds like this. So difference is rather than or anyway. So when your vocal cord vibrates, vibration by definition is close and open for a vocal cord, and if it's fully closed, it sounds. If it's half closed, what's the application? Check this out. Again. So there's a or anyway, there are other applications, but here we're going to talk about the basics. Vocal cord half closed. When you vibrate, half closed. So the principle is pretty simple. And for most people, if they don't know how to zip the vocal cord, or if they don't know how to stretch that safely, they put more air to scream, to sing a high note, and then it flips into falsetto. That's called your voice break. That's usually the funny sound that you make when you fail to sing a high note. When you flip into falsetto. There are two ways to sing falsetto. One is singing falsetto by manipulating your vocal cord. You can manipulate your vocal cords to vibrate only halfway. It looks like this. Notice my face tension and neck tension. So and of course, this type of falsetto can be blended, can blend with other voices, such as head voice or chest voice, which will sound like this. See the difference? This is blended. And then this is not blended. You can see that a blended voice is actually more grounded. However, I'm going to teach you another way to sing falsetto. There's not a lot of ways. It's only two ways. It's not like this guy figured out some special techniques, systems. No such thing. There's just this many ways. And this way of singing is through manipulation of air. The first way of singing falsetto is the manipulation of vocal cords, and second is air. We know that when we make sound, air passes through vocal cords, and the vocal cords creates resistance. And in the case of falsetto, it doesn't close fully, so the resistance is low. And interestingly, when resistance is low, you have more air coming through. Remember the formula? I equals to V divided by R. What happens when the R value is low? I increase, current increase, airflow increase. So instead of adjusting your vocal cords, you can just increase I, current value, and then your vocal cord is more readily open. So if you blow more air, you increase the I value in the formula. I equals to V divided by R, and V is not relevant. V is constant. V is constant. R reduce. So your vocal cord is more induced to open. So all you need to do with your vocal cord is to allow it to be blown open, and you blow more air. I'm gonna use the second method and then compare. Again, second method, blow air, allow vocal cord open. Again. Again, notice the transition between real voice and falsetto, and then back to real voice. Again. Again. You might get bored, so hey, why am I doing this over and over again? This is really about the practice of singing. This is like if you're a figure skater. Right now it's the Winter Olympic Games. If you're a figure skater, you're doing the same thing for thousands of times. And when I first learned those things, I would practice the same line of melody thousands of times until I figured out the right way to do it. Again. Again. You can see that it's pretty seamless between real voice and falsetto. And then I'm going to use the first technique I told you. That is the manipulation of the vocal cord. So you deliberately close it halfway. And that would be more like this. It's you change somewhere in here. You change this and use that to induce airflow, rather than use airflow to blow excessive amount of air. Then use the airflow I value current to induce the change for your vocal cord. The first way is more. The first method is more basic. It helps you to differentiate falsetto from real voice. If you are new to this, you can really feel the difference. It's really there's a very clear threshold. But the second way, your vocal cord is a better way. It's a more artistic way because it has a more smooth transition. And other than that, your vocal cord stays in the same shape. So unlike the first method, you have to do something to your vocal cord. This way, your vocal cord stays in the same shape, roughly. You just need to allow it to be blown open. So emotionally, you don't have that interruption. So the flow of music is not interrupted. I found another song. Actually the same song. So the second method demonstration. And the first method. First method, I'm not just gonna use falsetto like. I'm gonna blend it with chest voice. And the second method, you don't need to blend because the vocal cord is already in the position of chest voice. You just need to blow air. So that's why it makes it easier. You don't have to think about blending. So first method with blending chest voice. It's actually pretty good because it's actually more control. Because in this, it's a pre-chorus. In this pre-chorus, there is a transition halfway through the melody, shifts from falsetto-chest blend to chest. So if you are manipulating your vocal cord to begin with, it's easier for you to close it further. Rather than if you blow air, it's harder for you to close it further, slightly. Let's do the second method again. Transition is pretty seamless. I'm very happy about it. And then the first method, last time. So falsetto blend with chest voice. Falsetto is blend is basically humans can make two types of sounds simultaneously. But you didn't know that. Alright. And it's not a mix. By the way, if there's a mix, there's no falsetto. Mix necessitates complete closure of vocal cord. It's not a mix. It's a blend. The difference between mix and blend. Mix is infused. Two types of voice infused, but blend is distinct. You can hear the falsetto and you can hear the chest voice or head voice. They are separate two types of voice. In some vernacular singing skills, they would sing overtone. I don't want to demonstrate to you. I know how to sing it, but sometimes some days I can't sing it. So you can sing two different notes simultaneously. Maybe in the end I'll do it. And if I fail, I'm just gonna cut it out. So you can sing two types of sound simultaneously. And in this case, actually I forgot to articulate one thing. That line is a pre-chorus. It's different than. I'll tell you why. Let's do the first scale, the pre-chorus. So, falsetto blend with the real voice. It's really good because there's no scene. Basically, it just transitioned gradually into a chest voice. So both techniques work. So you can manipulate your vocal cord, or you can manipulate your air predominantly. And by the end of the day, probably you wouldn't even notice which one comes first because they happen simultaneously. Your attention is different. Man, that's motorcycle. So your attention is different. Your attention is either on your vocal cord or on airflow. You know this, but the audience probably don't know it. And at one point it's the same. So airflow control is the control vocal cord. It becomes more blurred. But I can definitely feel a difference. If I sing more naturally without doing anything here, I feel like I'm just singing because all I'm controlling is the airflow. and allowing vocal cord to open. So, last thing I want to tell you about is that there are two types of falsetto blend in this song. There is a blend that the predominant voice is falsetto, and the supporting sound is real voice, be it head voice or chest voice. And then there's another type of falsetto blend that the predominant sound is a head voice, and the supporting sound is a falsetto. It's like mixing drinks, a slight different tone. And that pre-chorus is predominantly falsetto with a supporting head or chest real voice. And then this is a different blend. Head voice becomes the predominant sound, and falsetto becomes the supporting sound. So remember how to sing head voice? It is not, or it's still not, or it's even still not. All of that are chest voice. Even if it sounds like a mix or head voice, it's a chest voice. You don't know, but I do, because I can control it. I know what muscle group, where I pull, where I didn't pull. So all of that is chest voice. I did it with the same technique of the chest voice. And this is head voice. This is the head voice. Again, head voice. And chest voice. It may sound similar to you because, first of all, it's recorded by an iPhone, and second of all, it is compressed, it's processed by YouTube. So probably sound the same to you, but they're different. But if I just do the head voice, sounds too legitimate. We don't want that. We don't want that distance between the professional singer and a very pedestrian emotion. So we want to use head voice but supported, or I can say subtracted of its legitimacy by the falsetto. So it sounds like this. You can tell that it is, but you add falsetto. All right. So we covered three major points. First, what is falsetto? How it's produced? And second of all, how do you produce? And there are two ways. One is to control the vocal cord. The other is to control the air and to allow the vocal cord to fall into place. And third of all, there are two types of blend. Actually, there are more types of blend, but we'll only talk about two because this is about falsetto. And this song has two falsetto blends. And blend is not a mix. People don't talk about blend because they haven't figured out yet. And as we always say, singing is a continuously evolving art. Ever since the application of microphone, it really has been 100 years. And people are still in the old school system of opera singing, somehow to do with opera singing. There are certain voices, such as the blend voice. It's not taught. They would say, hey, if you feel the emotion, you would produce a sound like, but it's not the truth, You don't have to feel emotion. You can really do anything, Yeah, you can read it. I don't know. You can watch comedy and sound like you're about to cry. You can watch comedy and sound like this. Again. 见你的真爱，见你的真爱，我见你的真爱，我真的真爱，天空人真真真的爱。 You can. I actually use the falsetto. It is a different application of falsetto. We're not going to talk about. The thing that you can sound like you are desperate about to cry without having any emotion invested in it. But what's the place of emotion? Well, emotion is the last thing you add on it, the last flavor. A good song must be as good with no emotion from the performer. The best songs ever written, no matter who sings it, as long as it's on pitch, as planned, it's a good song. Anyway, a good song, well-written song, doesn't need a performer's emotion to be good. You can add emotion, that'd be great, but it's not necessary. The heart does go